And we are live. Welcome to the process. It is Friday, October 29th. I am Josh Engleman, and I'm here to break down a 7-game NBA slate for you guys, and it's a perfect one as far as I'm concerned. This is what I'm looking for each slate. 7 games to me is as good as it's going to get. You know, anywhere in this range is sort of perfect. We've been hit with back-to-back really nice potential slates, so I'm happy for that. Before we get started, before we do anything, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. It's really weird to start out my day having not spoken other than this. Like, when I wake up, nobody else is awake in my home. At best, I'm going to talk to my dogs. Today was not one of those days. So it's really weird to start off speaking what amounts to myself staring at a camera, like just diving into the day. So it's kind of wild. Yesterday, had a couple chances. I'm happy with the lineups that I made. I'm really happy with where I'm at from a DFS perspective right now. I had one lineup get to around 50th. I might as well just look it up just so that I'm not speaking out. I'm a bum. 51st. So I got the 51st in the FanDuel contest. 4 other lineups, including that one, were in the top 1%. I can't ask for anything better. I just need to continue to give myself chances to be live in some of this stuff. So I'm really happy with the way that my percentages are breaking down. And I think this show has a lot to do with it, because being able to really just have an eye on every rotation and every team, it's been making my pre-lock process infinitely better. I haven't, at least, and we haven't really had any crazy news that would make it a problem, but I've been really comfortable in that hour before lock, not really worrying about time. I've made a couple changes to things that I do on the back end to really save me if news breaks incorrectly. So I think it has a lot to do with just wanting to be good on this show. So it's perfect. A lot of good mornings, a lot of coffee cups. As you guys can see, I kicked this one off a little bit earlier. Fridays are my tough day. We've got a hard out at 7:30 because I have to get in the car, head to the gym, and then hustle back from that for the strategy show at 10 with Adam. So if it's all cool with you guys, we're going to start this one off a couple minutes early. I wanted to say cheers, first and foremost. Rise and grind, that's the good one. And I think I'm going to be painting the office this weekend. We're going to be moving stuff around, getting a different view. I owe it to the people to have a better visual experience. So cheers to everybody. We made it through another week. Waters, coffees, teas. Coffee is necessary for me today. Water, coffee, tea, beers honestly sound like they'd be really like a good beer at 6:26 a.m. on a Friday. That might have to be some sort of like new tradition. Feels like it would taste really good. But anyway, whatever you've got to start out your day, I'll join you here and say cheers. Let's win some money tonight. All right, I've been waiting for that. I don't take a sip. I don't want to break the I don't want to cheers you guys with a drink I've already drank out of. So I legitimately let that sit on my desk for the past half hour. And boy, did I want that coffee. Now, let's transition to this view. Let's start up some music. And let's give a quick shout out to Prize Picks for being the presenting sponsor of this video. Use the promo code Awesemo when you sign up at Prize Picks. You're not playing against other sharks. You don't have to worry about optimizers. You're picking player props, and if you use that promo code Awesemo when you sign up, you can get 100% instant match deposit bonus of up to $100. You don't want to sleep on free cash like that. We have plenty of tools on the website for free that will help you make those decisions. I'm going to take a quick peek just to see if maybe someone heard me yesterday and they have some prop prices up. If not, we'll figure out a way to make this happen a little bit. But yeah, still no fantasy scores. I think that's going to come a little bit later. I'll start grabbing their individual props each morning, and we can at least look at overs and unders. But for right now, it is time to dive into this slate. 7 games. I've got my schedule here. We're going to go in order. I'm going to make it a little bit easier so I don't have to constantly miss. We're starting with the Orlando Magic at the Toronto Raptors. Magic are 8-point underdogs in Toronto. 210.5 total is the lowest total on the slate by 9 points. That is important. Toronto's offense has been really bad. I want to say that this is probably 2 of the 5 worst offenses. It might even be more extreme than that, if we're being perfectly honest. I know how bad Toronto's offense has been in the half court. Defense is a very different story, but where do these two teams rank offensively? Orlando is 25th. Toronto is 24th. All right, so I was pretty close. Now, Orlando's defense is also worse than the league, whereas Toronto's is good, so we'll see where that gets us. But for Orlando, it's more of the same. No Isaac, no Fultz, no Ukigi, no Eton Moore, no Michael Carter-Williams. So not too much to worry about here. I'm going to retweet my tweet. You guys should retweet those tweets as well when you see them come out in the morning. And if you haven't already, please follow me at Josh Engleman on Twitter. Really want to try to get that follower count up a little bit. Adam Scher has outpaced me in followers, and I don't appreciate it, so I need to run him down first and foremost. And honestly, Adam's just posting snarky stuff. I'm posting sim updates, goods. We can take questions whenever we want. So hit me up on Twitter. Happy to answer any of your questions. And if they're like 1v1s, just assume that I don't have an answer for that. All right, so for Orlando, I can't imagine we're going to be making too big of a change here. It's pretty standard issue stuff. They didn't play Robin Lopez in their last game. I would be shocked if that is a permanent decision. I just don't see a scenario where he's going to be fully out of the rotation. Now, they did run a 9-man rotation. I do think that that's interesting. He's not the guy that you just cut out of a rotation. Maybe I'm wrong. I could very easily be wrong. I don't feel like I am, however. I'm comfortable leaving Mo Bamba in at 30 minutes. I'm comfortable leaving Wendell Carter Jr. in at 29 minutes. I'm going to leave Robin Lopez's minutes. Mo Wagner continues to maintain his relatively tiny rotation. I'm going to take 1 minute away from him here. Franz Wagner continues to lead the team in minutes at 32, so I don't have much else that I want to change there. Gary Harris is going to play about 20 minutes a game anytime that he's healthy. I think that looks fine. RJ Hampton's minutes went down. That is the most interesting piece of all of this to me, that RJ Hampton got a bit of a minutes cut. So I'm going to cut his minutes down a little bit more as well. Give a little bit more to Gary Harris. But there's not going to be a ton that looks good for Orlando, I'm guessing. So let's check out Toronto now. Joff, who's got a better career, Suggs or Scotty Barnes? So I would have said Suggs pre-draft. He has not looked as good as I was hoping. I was not a big Scotty Barnes fan coming out. I think he's looked better. I don't want to overreact. I think it's easier for Jalen Suggs to have a better career, but I think Scotty Barnes' ceiling is way higher than Suggs. But I think more often than not, like, Suggs can stick around in the league. Philip Sharp, good morning. All right, we're on to Toronto. Any interesting news for the Raps? We got to remember that. I got to move quickly. Pascal Siakam is out. We know that stuff. So I assume Toronto's rotation is about to look as similar as it normally does. Goran Dragic didn't play last time out. Again, much like Robin Lopez, I don't think that that's going to be a new change to their rotation. Could be. Maybe that's something that I didn't see. But that seems, unless he's going to be like trying to get energy back, I just find it hard to believe they're going to take Goran Dragic out of a rotation. It seems implausible. Van Vliet in for big minutes. Scotty Barnes in for big minutes. Gary Trent in for big minutes. I mean, we know what we're doing here. Precious in for about 27 seems good. Kem Birch backup center minutes seems fine. They get in Banton and Mikhailiuk and Chris Boucher. This is all good. Izzy, rise and grind. Everyone hates Chris. No coffee yet, but you're here. Good to see it. Nate, good morning. All the minutes for Toronto and Orlando look fine, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably don't look all that great in general. Let me go ahead and clear out some dead weight from yesterday's sims. Make it a little bit easier to see some of this stuff. There we go. All right. Ignore the Josh column. That's my exposures. That's not real. That's just from yesterday. What are we looking at? Orlando's first. So for the Magic, we've got Mo Bamba, 6,500 on FanDuel, power forward center eligibility. Is Mo Bamba very clearly, to me, the top play coming from Orlando on both sites. $6,500 Cole Anthony on DraftKings would likely be my number 2. Terrence Ross is worth a shot, just if the shot is falling. But I would say Bamba is my priority. Cole Anthony on DraftKings. Franz Wagner isn't the worst idea in the world. Not too much else for Orlando. On the Toronto side, I mean, a lot of Fred VanVleet, 8,100 across both sites. Scotty Barnes, 6K and 6,100. I'm interested here. Gary Trent, 5,100 and 5K. Shooting guard, small forward eligibility, 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy. Got a lot of steals last time out. That helped him out tremendously, but I think he's a nice value. Precious looks pretty good. So Toronto, the starting 5 for Toronto, I think are very easy to get to. I don't really see a scenario where you play anybody else from Toronto. All right, one game down. We move it on to Indiana Pacers, Brooklyn Nets. Big total here, 223. Pacers are 8-point dogs. Surprise, surprise, the Pacers are on this slate. Haven't seen them in forever. Oh, wait, they play every single day. Okay, so no Malcolm Brogdon. Karis LeVert, questionable. I don't believe we should be expecting him to come back today. I still think he's a little bit further away. Apparently I closed that depth chart too, which is annoying. So let me see if there's any blurb here on Karis LeVert before we get started, because obviously this is going to be big. Close to return to action, listed questionable. Did not play. I don't really trust LeVert to play, but 2 straight questionables, I think I'm going to go with it. And since Brogdon is out, seems a little bit more likely. Yeah, I mean, Marquis was never going to be long for Toronto, but it's not going to do either of them any good if he's not in the rotation. You're going to have a much harder time getting off that salary if he can't prove he plays. All right, so we take Brogdon out. We're going to need... I'm going to say that he can only play 20 minutes first time out. I don't think that they're going to test him too much, which means we're going to need some additional playing time for TJ McConnell, I believe. So if we're going to think about who closes this game, they can sort of go many different directions. but I think it seems most likely that we would see TJ McConnell pick up like standard issue starter minutes. I think Brad Wanamaker probably gets into the rotation a little bit here. I don't think we see any changes for Chris Duarte or Sabonis. Mark, that surprises me. If they wanted to buy him out, I feel like they would have done it already. The last thing that they want to do is buy him out. Not saying you're wrong or anything. Also, why is the audio not playing? Why is that not? Why am I? That's really weird. I have music playing. It's not playing. Why is that? All right. I don't know. I'm not going to screw with it. All right. I don't think we have anything else for Indiana's minutes. They seem to be relatively set in stone outside of this Brogdon change. The Karis LeVert piece will be big. If LeVert happens to also still not play, Jeremy Lamb's going to look really good. In this case, I don't necessarily think Lamb gets a monstrous increase if LeVert is back. So let's switch it on over to the Brooklyn side now, where I assume, unless prices have dramatically changed, I'll be not getting James Harden and Kevin Durant like usual. So let's try to follow this path. We had no Bruce Brown here. No Bruce Brown. Then James Johnson said, no Griffin, no Aldridge, no Claxton. Is this going to just be like, should we expect Bruce Brown to not play today? I don't think so. I think he is just now a fixture for this team. But don't be surprised if we just get a rotation of one of those guys every single day, because I know I wouldn't. Do we know Claxton's status? Available. Okay. Not even on the injury report. So we need to move some minutes around. We're going to take those minutes off of DeAndre Bembry. We're good for Harden. We're good for Patty Mills. I think we're good for Blake. Aldridge playing 12. This is just going to be a pain in the ass every single day. Millsap played 15 with no Claxton. If Claxton's back, I think Millsap probably gets back to like his 8. This team is a true annoyance. Let me be very clear here. So Claxton, I have to put in for like 16 minutes. I don't know why it would be something other than that. We'll make that 6. We'll make that 14. Does this make sense to you? I think it makes sense to me. Javon Carter's minutes have been coming down now. Bembry's have been going up the past 2 games. I don't really know the relationship there. So I'm going to go to 12 on Carter, 6 on Bembry. I don't think that any of these things matter. Yeah, Mark, it's also possible he might just be out at the December 15th mark when when all the people that signed contracts in the offseason are eligible to be traded. We might just have to wait for Dragic to get to that point, because I think he can get offloaded for some alternative salary there. I'm just going to assume that everything else for Brooklyn looks pretty good. So we'll start with Indiana. On the Indiana side, we have no Malcolm Brogdon, which I think is very important. TJ McConnell, 5,700 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings. He's just going to be, and he's not priced down the way that you would want, and he's been bad this year, 0.82 fantasy points per minute. But for right now, he's going to look like a really nice value play. I think Miles Turner looks good. By the way, if you've been paying attention, Miles Turner now has center eligibility on FanDuel. He's become way more important on FanDuel than he was before when he just had power forward. No real interest in Duarte. Sabonis, I think, looks really good with no Malcolm Brogdon, and that could change dramatically as we work our way through the day. For Brooklyn, yeah, chill introvert. Dragic to the Mavs. Look, if Toronto is going to buy out Dragic, then Dragic would already be on the Mavs. They would have taken whatever nonsense second rounder they would take. So it's possible. Look, it's also possible that they want to keep him around for salary ballast. Like if Toronto wants to try to make a deal, Goran Dragic makes what, 18 million? Like, you don't want to buy that out. You want to trade that as outgoing salary to try to get somebody else. You know, what if they want to try to trade Pascal Siakam? They need more outgoing salary for something else? I think that's reasonable. All right, on Brooklyn, I'm going to Harden before I go to Durant. 9,800 for Harden on FanDuel, 9,600 on DraftKings. I really like. I don't mind that price for Durant on DK at 10-3. 10-9's a little rich on FanDuel, I think. We'll see where the rest of the pay-up options end up, but I'm happy to go to Harden. I just think that he's going to be better than he was moving forward. But the guy you're looking to most, Bruce Brown, 3,800 on DraftKings, shooting guard, small forward eligible. That's a value option you really can't get away from. He's traditionally a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. I got a little higher, or I got him there. He's been worse, but this is my spot right here. Bruce Brown for value. I think you just have to. Looks too good. Let me look at his rate quickly. I want to make sure that he hasn't been anything super weird for the Nets in comparison to his old stuff from the Pistons. Bruce Brown, 16% usage, 3.5, 4, and 7. 15% usage, 3.5, 4. Yeah, okay. So I have no problems with this. Play Bruce Brown. Jeremy, no, you're not. You're not the only one. I don't really mind it, but you're not the only one. All right, 2 games down. On to Charlotte now. By the way, 127 viewers, 50 likes. You guys are doing a great job. We should have no problem getting to 100 likes by 7 a.m. Let's go to my Charlotte Hornets. There we go. Hornets in, and they had some news last time out. So we got a Q tag on Rozier, doubtful on PJ Washington. I'm actually, not that I want PJ Washington to be injured. This is not what I mean, but I'm happy that he's doubtful and not questionable so that we don't have to really screw around with it right now. Rozier, on the other hand, will be a more complicated piece of this. I'm going to assume that Terry Rozier is playing today. He's missed enough games at this point. So let's go ahead and plop in Terry Rozier's standard issue 30 minutes for this one, since he's still working his way back in, which means we need to cut some minutes. Gordon Hayward in for 34, I'm cool with. Miles Bridges in for 34, I'm cool with. Kelly Oubre, I think that I have to be okay, but I do need to cut his minutes a little bit. I think 28, if Rozier is playing, seems right. LaMelo, they want to play 32 minutes, I'm assuming, so I'm going to leave that. Mason Plumlee seems fine at 31. Nick Richards as the backup. If I want to go to 10, I think that's fine. I don't think they're going to go to Jalen. So Jalen McDaniels got 22 minutes. That's exactly where I had him before. They went to a limited rotation. So all of this looks fine. We're going to make that 7. Make that 15. So that gets him to 22. Cody Martin is going to have to get less minutes, that's for sure. Although I don't necessarily know how many less. Someone's got to take a giant haircut here, and I don't know who it is. The day that he came back, Jalen McDaniels was the guy that got the cut from the rotation. That is fascinating. Now, there's no PJ Washington, so Jalen McDaniels isn't going anywhere. But what it's saying is, well, it also messes up that center rotation. So the Nick Richards minutes are kind of weird, too. How do I shave 21 minutes from this team? All right, so we know they're not coming from LaMelo. Although, it does feel like I should probably take him down a minute. All right, so we're keeping LaMelo. We got to keep Terry Rozier. We got to keep Gordon Hayward. We got to keep Miles Bridges. We got to keep Mason Plumlee. All of those guys are going to get their 30-plus minutes, which means we need to start cutting from somewhere else. It might have to be Oubre, but I think Cody Martin feels more realistic. That's still 13 more minutes. I don't have... Nick Richards might have to actually be out of this rotation. Can they go... Because if we have Mason Plumlee here and Nick Richards here, they're willing to play someone else at the 5. Who is it? Because with Charlotte taking on Miami, we kind of got to think about it like this. So Nick Richards played this first rotation, didn't come back out there. When Mason Plumlee came off the floor here in the second half, they went Cody Martin, Jalen McDaniels, Ish, Miles Bridges, and Gordon Hayward. So they were willing to go to Jalen McDaniels at the 5, unencumbered. They did it twice. So I do need to cut Nick Richards minutes. That will help us here. One rotation at a Richards allows us to give more minutes to Jalen McDaniels at the 5. Now we're 9 minutes short. Also still not ideal. But Miles Bridges isn't going to play less. Gordon Hayward's not going to play less. So I think that they have to come from Oubre. And potentially Ish. Let's take 4 from Ish, 4 from Oubre, and 1 more from Cody Martin. I honestly can't say that I'm comfortable with this, but it is going to have to be what it is. I don't know where else these minutes would go. But there's 240 minutes for Charlotte. We'll see what that looks like when we're done. Let's go to Miami now. Charlotte's a really difficult team to project in if Rozier's here because we haven't seen it. And with PJ Washington out, it really creates some questions. All right, on the Miami side, man, I really wish I understood why this music wasn't playing. Like, because it's playing. If I do this, and if I do this, does it play? No. All right, well, never mind then. Let's go back to setting that to default. All right, Miami Heat. What do we know? Kyle Lowry, probable. Bam, probable. No Oladipo. So this should be whatever Miami has been doing, which is helpful. Gabe Vincent did not play this last game out now that Lowry was back. I think that's interesting to know. We've got Bam and Dwayne Dedmon playing straight backup and starter at center. No problem there. Dave, what do you mean 3x yesterday? 3x in the slots? Can't be DFS. 32 minutes for Lowry, check. Tyler Hero, 29 minutes, check. Duncan Robinson, good. PJ Tucker, good. Max Strus, everything else looks fine here. I have no idea why the music won't play. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Maybe I need to... exit Spotify and open it again? Could that be it? I don't know. I do not know. If we try to press play again, because it bothers me to know that there's not like background noise. Yeah, I don't know. For some strange reason, it's just not picking up my audio. Oh well. It's better that you guys hear me. That's for sure. At least I think. I don't think we have any changes to make for Miami, so let's look at this game. We'll remove it here. 8 minutes to go until the top of the hour. 72 likes. You got a couple more you guys need to hit here. On the Charlotte side, Mason Plumlee, 6,200 on FanDuel. That is my favorite option so far. I don't love the pricing on Charlotte. Everybody's sort of increased in price because of Terry Rozier. If Terry Rozier is in, I'm going to have a very difficult time wanting to get to anything from Charlotte outside of Jalen McDaniels for 3,500 as a true flyer on DraftKings. Otherwise, I don't see it. Miami's too good defensively. That's too difficult of a team. Now, on the Miami side, Bam Adebayo is 8K on FanDuel, 7,800 on DraftKings. I think he looks really good. Kyle Lowry for 5,900 on FanDuel. I think you need to play a lot of. He just shouldn't be 5,900. He provides a ceiling that I don't think we want to pass up on. Jimmy Butler for 8,700 on DraftKings, I think is a really nice price tag for him. There's a lot to like for Miami. But it's mostly that the main trio. Duncan Robinson works as a flyer, but Butler and Bam on DraftKings, I like a lot. Bam and Lowry on FanDuel. I don't mind Butler on FanDuel, but 9,200 is a little rich. All right, we're on to Sacramento and New Orleans. And by the way, going game by game like this has become way easier for me for this show. For the Kings, we saw Marvin Bagley play a couple days ago. That ended pretty abruptly for him too. No other news, so just in case anybody is wondering about Marvin Bagley, still no Marvin Bagley. Minutes should be pretty reasonable. They're running a very, very tight rotation. Interesting that they didn't play Tristan Thompson. They went to Alex Len here. And from what I heard, Alex Len looked good in his minutes. For Alex Len, let's be clear here. I don't know if that's just we're going to rest Tristan Thompson, like we're going to rotate through both guys every once in a while. I mean, that would make a lot of sense to me. I don't think it matters all that much. Like, Len and Tristan Thompson are pretty similar from a fantasy perspective. So, like, you're playing one of those two guys either way. So 34 minutes for Fox honestly might be a little low. Same for Harrison Barnes. I got Barnes in for 36. I can't go higher than that. Halliburton in at 31. Buddy Hield in at 30. All right, I could at least take 1 minute from Hield and give that to Fox. Harkless in for 22. Yeah, the Sacramento minutes are just, for the first time in a while, Sacramento has like a relatively normal rotation. If the biggest question mark that we have is whether or not they're going to use Tristan Thompson or Alex Len as the backup center, I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, Tristan Thompson's not a trade piece because he's Tristan Thompson. Anyone that could want him can have him. He's the backup center for the Sacramento Kings, man. Yeah, he can. Nobody wants Tristan Thompson. No one's going to give up anything for Tristan Thompson, I think, is probably an easier way to say it. New Orleans Pelicans. Opposite side of this one. Really weird, enigmatic team right now. So we've got Q tag on Josh Hart, doubtful tag on Garrett Temple, still no Zion. What do we know about Josh Hart? Because he didn't play the last time out. I expected him to. Yeah, for a contender, he does not have value. Chill. I gotta go ahead and disagree. You're thinking of Tristan Thompson from 6 years ago. Tristan Thompson has no value to a contender any longer. Pelicans. What do we got about Josh Hart here? Tendinosis, still no news. Do I have him in for this one? No. All right. Got to assume that Josh Hart comes back at some point. So when he does, I don't think that Herb Jones is going to continue to get run since he didn't get it the first time. So I'm going to say that Josh Hart plays 24 minutes and we have to cut the minutes of other people somewhere. Not Joval, that's for sure. Not Brandon Ingram, that's for sure. Not Jackson Hayes. Kira Lewis? No. Najee Marshall? No. No. Oh, yeah. Garrett Temple. Obviously. So that leaves me 9 over on the Pels with Herb Jones getting all of those minutes. If I cut him to just 20, that squares me up. Najee Marshall's been playing a little bit more. So let's go 18 and 14. I think we're about good here. Do something like this. 658. Okay, guys, here's the deal. 175 viewers, 79 likes. We need 21 more likes in the next 2 minutes to hit our mark of 100 by the time we get to 7 a.m. You guys know what to do. All right, let's look at Sacramento. On the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox for 8K on FanDuel stands out as my favorite thing in this game for Sacramento. I like him for 8,400 on DraftKings too. He has not been good this year. 0.97 FanDuel points per minute in this season, but big minutes and has the potential for a big ceiling, particularly against the Pelicans. I like the spot for him just in general. So, yeah, 22% boom at 8K. I really like De'Aaron Fox. I like Rashawn Holmes for 5,800 on DraftKings. For some strange reason, Rashawn Holmes is 7,500 on FanDuel, but 5,800 on DK. Just play him on DraftKings. It's a much, much, much better price. You can always take a shot on Davion Mitchell, particularly here on FanDuel at 3,900, because he could close games. So, on the opposite side, we look at the Pels. Still no issue going to Joval, 8,200 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. I got him projected for like 18 and 16. I mean, he should just annihilate the boards here against the Kings. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is 6K, shooting guard small forward on FanDuel. That sounds like a really nice price tag, so don't be afraid to do that. Ooh, you guys almost got there. We're at 96. How much time's left? 90. We're at 96 with 50 seconds to go. You guys are going to hit it, so I don't even have to look back. Valanciunas and Nickeil Alexander-Walker on FanDuel, yes. They both look good on DraftKings, too. Devontae Graham for 6K on DK, that looks good because he's a much better play on DraftKings because of the 3-point bonus. Even Brandon Ingram, I don't mind for 8,700 on DraftKings. I really like the Pelicans. This is a nice spot against the Kings, and we could like them even more if Josh Hart happens to sit. Lots to like in that game. Whether it's on the Sacramento side with Fox or just generally on the New Orleans side. All right, let's move it over to Dallas now. This isn't going to be easy. Apologies to the Luka peoples from yesterday. Dallas and Denver. Dallas 1-point dogs in Denver. I'm guessing we have no idea what's happening for anybody here. I'm going to say, like, the Sterling Brown piece is the more interesting piece. I'm going to assume that Porzingis doesn't play. I think it's easier to maintain the rotation from yesterday. Dallas on the back-to-back. And then as people get ruled in throughout the day, we can make those changes. I mean, Maxi's price, what Maxi did yesterday is super chasey for people, so. Alrighty. Luka's minutes are normal. Dorian Finney-Smith's minutes are normal. Hardaway, good. Brunson, good. Dwight Powell played 24, perfect. Maxi played 29, that's what I gave him. Reggie Bullock played 29, I gave him 25. Who didn't play? Josh Green didn't play. So let's give Reggie Bullock more of Josh Green's minutes. We'll take him up to 29. Frankie Smokes did play. Get him to 11. Willie Cauley-Stein played 14 minutes. I nailed this Dallas rotation yesterday. Holy hell. Very proud of myself. Very, very proud of myself. So I don't really think that I need to make any other changes here for Dallas. We'll know more as the day goes on. On the Denver side, yeah, this is going to be standard issue shit for Denver. I think Jokic is okay. So Jokic is questionable. Took the knee-to-knee contact last time out. From everything that I understood, he should be fine. I'm going to assume that Nikola Jokic is just going to be okay. And against Dallas, honestly, it's a pretty decent matchup in that going to JaMychal Green or Jeff Green or something like that at the 5 is not all that bad when it's, Dwight Powell out there. Aaron Gordon's minutes trending up slightly. Austin Rivers' minutes trending down slightly. I'm going to give Aaron Gordon 1 additional minute. 28 minutes for Monty Morris. I mean, I guess when it's going well, he can close. Facundo Campazzo. So let's go to 19 and 29 here. I think all that looks fine. I don't have much that I want to change. So let's look at this game now. We only have 2 to go. I'm moving through this pretty well. That'll give us some time at the end. Let's look at Dallas. You guys hit my mark. 100 likes. We're good to go. Luka, 10,700 on FanDuel. 11K on DraftKings. If the salary is there, we're going to pay up for him. 1.3 fantasy points per minute so far. I clearly have him higher than that for this game. Look, he's Luka. Raw point ceiling looks good. I don't necessarily think that he's just been some no-brainer play, however. Even at 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Otherwise, Maxey on DraftKings is going to be a necessity just because he's 3,300. That's just a very, very easy price to get to. I wouldn't expect him to have like 5 blocks again or wherever he at. He might have had 6 actually. Jalen Brunson seems like a fine value across both sites. 5K, 4,800. Dwight Powell on DraftKings, 36. So this range right here, the 3,300 for Kleber, the 3,500 for Bullock, the 3,600 for Dwight Powell, even the 3K for Willie Cauley-Stein. Those are nice prices on DraftKings. Brunson 2 for 4,800. Dallas looks a lot better on DraftKings than they do on FanDuel. Morning, Tom. On the Denver side, 11-1 for Jokic on FanDuel, 10-7 on DraftKings. I would say that I probably prefer Luka to Jokic, at least on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's probably closer. Both guys just looking tough today. But Jokic has been scoring 1.77 fantasy points per minute so far this season. That makes me feel a little bit better. Michael Porter Jr. for 6,500 on DraftKings, sure. Aaron Gordon for 5K on DraftKings, sure. Monty Morris for 4,200 on FanDuel, sure. We're not really getting any crazy standout value options. Let's move it on to Clippers and Blazers. Let's finish off this coffee, too. Peter Hanley in the house. Good morning, good morning. All right. On to the Clippers. What do we know? No Marcus Morris. No Serge Ibaka. Normal stuff for the Clippers, at least as of right now. I think I'm comfortable 26 minutes for Zubats. 18 for Hartenstein seems a little high. 34 for Reggie Jackson is spot on. 36 for Paul George is spot on enough for somebody that I don't get to. 28 for Terrence Mann, I think I'm okay with. Who's getting this time? Who do I have under projected? I guess Luke Kennard's getting a little bit more run. Yeah, I think we're okay there. I mean, Justice Winslow to 17, Hartenstein to 18. I don't love that, but they are running that tight of a rotation. We don't totally know who it's going to be getting those minutes. I'm going to give one more to Nick Batum. Let's see where we look for the Clippers after that rotation, and then let's look at Portland. Do we have any news on Norm Powell? So for Portland, Q tag on Powell. What's his blurb? Because that matters a lot here. Now I'm gonna treat it like Norm Powell's. I mean, he's missed 2 games. Patella tendinopathy doesn't feel like you just come back quickly. And even if he does come back, I think it's going to be mildly limited. I think it's probably in my best interest, though, to project Norm Powell in. I think he's closer than I was originally anticipating, which means Nas Little's minutes are going to go down. Let's go to Portland. I'm going to say 28 minutes for Norm Powell, just in case. That leaves me 12 additional minutes for Nas Little. That's close enough as far as I'm concerned. Let's take those minutes out. Yeah, because I think Dennis Smith Jr. might not be long for this rotation. Larry Nance for 20. Covington in for 30. Let's do that. Now let's start moving these minutes over. Backup point guard goes here. We go like that. So we have 8 minutes left. 9-man rotation. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they are running a 9-man rotation, or at least they have in their last game out. Who can I give these extra 8 minutes to? Probably not as little, right? At the very least, we take him up to 18. 36 and 36 for Lillard and CJ McCollum seems perfectly reasonable. I guess in theory they can go to Simons, but I don't trust that. So I'm just going to leave 2 additional spillover minutes to Dennis Smith Jr. Let's look at this game now. So for the Clippers, $5,800 Reggie Jackson on FanDuel stands out to me. Looks okay for 6,100. Nick Batum is 4K on DraftKings. That's a great value option. I think that Isaiah Hartenstein works for 3,200 on DK. He's such a good per minute guy that if he has to fall into a couple extra minutes, he's the kind of guy you want to get to. $4,600 for Zubats on FanDuel, a guy that I'm going to go back to because I think that he could just fall into 30 minutes every once in a while, especially against Portland with Nurkic. You need a bigger body. Paul George is whatever. On the Portland side, we're going back and jamming in Dame on FanDuel at 8,400. I think that Robert Covington seems like a reasonable value play, but nothing too interesting given his minutes currently. There's not much else here for Portland that I think stands out. I think they look pretty gnarly. A little bit better on DraftKings than they do on FanDuel, but $8,400 Dame is the star of this show. Let's close out with Cleveland and the Lakers. We're going to start it off on the Cleveland side. What do we know about the Cavs? No Isaac Okoro, and that's it. Also no Kevin Pangos, but I don't think that matters. So let's hit this Cleveland rotation. And again, 200 people in here. We're closing out the Friday strong. It's been a good week. I'm happy to have you guys here, so thank you for being here. They did not go to Dylan Windler, so I'm going to pull his minutes. We'll get to that in a bit. 34 minutes for Mobley is fine. 32 minutes for Jared Allen is fine. 32 minutes for Darius Garland is probably too high, if we're being perfectly honest, but I'll leave it in. 34 minutes for Colin Sexton seems fine. Ricky Rubio at 24 is probably a little low, so I'm going to give him another 2. Gets him to 26. Markkanen right around that 28 mark. 30 is just going to have to become the spot. Chetty played a lot less. Kevin Love can afford to get 2 more minutes. So okay, so Lamar Stevens got the run that I didn't think anyone would get. That's good to know. Was that blowout run or real run? Oops. Closed popcorn machine. Cleveland against the Clippers. Lamar Stevens in the rotation legitimately. Okay, good to know. So we're going to go ahead and cut Chetty's minutes down to 12. And then bring in Lamar. Now we'll go Chetty to 14. Lamar Stevens to 16. Perfect. All right. Everything looks good on the Cleveland side of this one. So let's switch it over to the Lakers, where we have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. Q tag on Braun. Probable tag on AD. No Ariza, no Nunn, no Tucker. Ellington Q tag. Rondo Q tag. I'm going to assume that LeBron's playing. You get 2 days off. 2 games off, rather. He's LeBron. I don't want to be too crazy here. So let's go ahead and get LeBron James back in for, 34 minutes. Then we'll figure it all out. So when LeBron was in, we got like 12 minutes from DeAndre, 12 minutes from Dwight, which means we get 36 minutes there for AD. I'm going to go 34 on LeBron. Melo's minutes can pretty quickly go to 26. That seems most reasonable. Let's do something like that. Ellington, I'm just going to pull quickly. Rondo, I'm going to pull quickly. We're going to pull Austin Reeves minutes. Bazemore in the first couple games, I think I can take him down to 26. So that leaves me 27 minutes for, I guess Malik Monk's minutes are going to go back down to 22. So I've got 36 minutes for the final 2 guys in the rotation, assuming that is Austin Reeves and someone. So let's say that Austin Reeves gets to 14. That leaves me 22 minutes. I do need a straight backup at the 1. I'm going to say that that's just immediately Rondo plus another couple minutes. Take him to 16. That leaves me 6 in the spillover. They haven't run weird rotations. Like, they've just been a straight 10-man rotation this entire time. Maybe 9, depending on the game. So I'm just going to give 6 minutes to Avery Bradley because I don't think it matters all that much. Maybe it goes to Wayne Ellington. Who knows? With that said, we're going to need to cut these rates back down. Russ, we'll say 26. We'll get LeBron back to 30 and a half. I think we should be okay there. So let's look at the final game. And let's kill the coffee. And now we switch it up to giant pre-workout, pink lemonade style. SMP neither. Look, like Russ is just such an enigma. He just has to shoot less. I mean, he's just really bad as a scorer. Really bad. All right, on the Cleveland side, I might actually get to Evan Mobley today, finally on FanDuel at 6,600. There's not really a ton else to like. Jared Allen for 6,200 on DraftKings is really great. Look at the prices on Cleveland. Nobody's more than 6,800. 8 of the guys are between 51 and 6,800. I don't know who you play here. Jared Allen is for sure the best option on DraftKings. I think that's pretty clear. Everything else for Cleveland's really flat. I don't expect to have a ton of Cleveland. I mean, they're 9-point dogs, 219 total. Actually, yeah, wow. 9-point dogs. All right, on the Lakers side, assuming LeBron James is in, I'm still willing to go to a little bit of Russ, 9,400, 9,700. I think AD looks the best of anybody here. 10-6 and 9,500. I probably won't go to LeBron. I certainly won't be going to really anything else from the Lakers. Yeah, I think that's probably going to do it. I hate that that's a 10:30 start. We're not going to have that news. At least I don't think we will. Not a lot of swaps available. Oh, all right. So on DraftKings, as long as you don't have LeBron at small forward, which is basically impossible, you can swap to AD. That's easy. On FanDuel, you don't really have a natural swap because AD is more expensive. But on DraftKings, it's easy to get away from LeBron, just in case. Alrighty, well, let's run some crunches. Let me double check Prize Picks to see if they have anything posted yet, just in case. Because I do want to show you guys what I've got here. But it might not ever matter. They might just have to get dropped into chat over and over again. Yep, alright. So, let's run on crunches. Optimal lineups on FanDuel. By the way, we made it through this pretty quickly. I'm kind of happy here. I did realize that I haven't saved in a while, so let's go ahead and hit that save button. All right, first crunch. You guys know what it is. Optimal on FanDuel. Where do we land? That would be Damian Lillard, De'Aaron Fox, TJ McConnell, Jalen Brunson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Terrence Ross, Bam Adebayo, Mo Bamba, Joval. Anxious to see how this changes. Cantor, he does have small forward, power forward eligibility. So it would be kind of dumb if he didn't. I don't mind that optimal. The Terrence Ross piece is weird. If you drop down 0.3 of a point, you could swap out Ross for Franz Wagner and Jalen Brunson for Robert Covington. That's closer. It's a little gross. I'm actually kind of excited now to dig in later this afternoon and really make some rate changes because I think there's some openings here. It's going to be a long day. Contenders videos after I get back from the gym and do the strategy show. I got top fives for NFL, which isn't going to be all that fun, but we'll get through it. Nothing but time today. It is Friday after all. All right, so let's get the power rankings running. And now let's look at, or at least let's get the optimals in for DraftKings. All right. Optimals for DK are running. Power rankings on FanDuel. This is not at all what I was expecting. TJ McConnell, Bam Adebayo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mo Bamba, Harden, Fox, Lillard, Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, Reggie Jackson, Miles Turner, Kyle Lowry, Zubats, Ingram. Just not really getting to the pay-up options here. I mean, like it's just kind of flat. Am I over projecting Harden? Probably, at least for right now. But I think the error bars on Harden are huge. I'd say I probably have James Harden a little over projected. Let's just see what happens because I think we have a couple extra minutes. I want to go to Brooklyn. I want to look at James Harden's rates so far this season. James Harden, 26% usage rate. Because let's see what that impact is if I work him backwards a little bit. All right, so James Harden, I got him in at 27.6. He's at 26. I'm just going to go to 27 then. 27.4 is where I have his baseline. I don't want to go too low. 11% assist rate. I'll walk that back a little bit. Rebounding rate, just a hair. I think we could be okay there. I'm certainly projecting him for too many free throws. I have him taking... See, like, this is where I can't be mad. I have him projected for 7.7 free throws. That's what he averaged last year. I think it's more of an anomaly so far this season, and he gets back to it. So I'm okay with my Harden projection. Did bring him down just a hair. Let's see if there's any impact. Let's see how big that drop is. So he was 5.12x value. Now down to 5 flat. It's not going to change all that much, but it should bring him down at least a little bit in the power rankings. On DraftKings, the optimal is James Harden. I don't mind it. Jalen Brunson, Bruce Brown, Maxey, Bam, Devontae Graham, Nick Batum, Jokic. A lot more value available at the bottom end of DK to make getting to those guys easier. Also, 1.8 fantasy point projection difference between my top lineup and my second lineup. That is something interesting. I am going to rerun it just since we changed Harden slightly. Does the optimal change? No, same optimal. But look at that. 1.8 fantasy point difference between my optimal and my second lineup. That is as big of a gap as I've seen in a pretty long time. Now, let's check out the power rankings on DraftKings. God, that pink lemonade is so good. Alrighty. Bruce Brown at the top of the power rankings. That's going to be controversial. But should it be? Look, $3,800 Bruce Brown playing 30 minutes today. Like, if he's going to continue to start, Bruce Brown has the ability to fall into some really wild games. He's not that bad of a per minute guy. All right. Power rankings on DraftKings. 39% for Bruce Brown is nuts. Scotty Barnes. That's how, although I do think it's interesting because we have all of these pay up options today, whether that's Luka, Jokic, Durant, George, LeBron, Russ, Harden, AD even. Like, I think these guys are either appropriately priced or honestly like a little overpriced for their matchups. And I think we're seeing that in the power rankings because we're getting a lot more down the line value. Bruce Brown value play, Scotty Barnes mid-tier. That gets us Harden, but Maxey value. Like Devontae Graham is nothing crazy. TJ McConnell is in the mid-tier. It's very different here. I don't mind these percentages, but DraftKings looks hard today. I'm really anxious to get Adam's thoughts because I'm seeing this in a way that makes me really curious about DraftKings exposures. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Bruce Brown, though, is going to be a guy that makes and or breaks me. 3,800 on DraftKings is hard to get away from. All right, guys, we got about 5 minutes left before I really need to be out of here. I'm going to keep sucking this down, but if anybody has any questions while I'm here, while I'm live, we got about 200 people in here. If you have any questions that you want to hit me with, feel free. I will happily take them right now because we got some time. That pink lemonade is good. Yeah, Mark Curry. They don't ever stop playing. They really don't. They really don't ever stop. Indiana is just on every slate. I'm really happy with the way everything's going, though. I'm happy with my projections. I'm happy with my setup. I'm happy with the time that I'm saving. I finally... Oops. How did I... Let's ungroup that for sure. What are we doing here? There we go. Got it. Ungroup, 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 group. There we go. What's going on with LeVert? We don't know. He's still coming back from injury. All right. Kyle Hipwell. Tips on max number of guys to play in one game on FanDuel and also making good value picks. Yesterday, mine were Porter Jr., Tice, and Gordon, just the way the salaries worked out. I don't pay attention to the amount of guys that I get from one game. On a bigger slate, I think it's just natural that you're not going to get to a ton of them. On smaller slates, though, either way, it's not something that I ever look at. In terms of making good value picks, the easiest way that I can say it is guys that have sizable boom scores in our boom bust tool, good point per dollar plays, guys that we don't think that are over owned, but can be depending on the rest of your lineup. Look, when push comes to shove, you just want to play, and I know how dumb this sounds, but you just want to play the best plays as much as you can, unless you think that there are comparable plays that aren't pulling as much ownership. And each contest you enter is dependent too, but I was on a lot of Porter Jr. yesterday. He got hurt. I don't think that Eric Gordon was a crazy spot to be. Like, I wish that I had more for you there, Kyle, but it's hard to just look at it on any one individual day because the expected failure rate for this is crazy. Like, guys aren't likely to have good games. That's the thing. Sean, feel like late swapping is something you're pretty bad at. Any tips for it? I re-upload projections before most locks when I can, and re-optimize my lineups, because what's really only important is, I mean, at least to me, is trying to get to first. Like, I'd like to back my way into some min caches just to try to raise the ROI a little bit, but I just want to know how my best lineups are doing and if I can make any changes to increase the ceiling of those lineups. So just be aware, like, if you have a guy that's relatively low owned in your lineup and he goes off early, you can be willing to be a little chalkier later because you've already booked the goods. That said, if you've got a guy that's relatively highly owned in your lineup and he doesn't do very well to start, don't be afraid to pivot to something later on that's a little bit lower owned to try to make up those points. Rory, I have LaMelo playing 32, I believe. LaMelo Ball will play 32 minutes a game in every competitive game that they have. Or at least that's what they want. Yeah, I was so heavy on that Washington-Atlanta game last night. 50% Kuz and Beal and 35% Trey and Collins. I was all over that one. Didn't have the KCP piece, which is a shame. Doofy Gilmore, you'll need to email support@awesemo.com. Not something I can help you out there. I panicked and got off a Kleber for more Powell last night when he wasn't starting. Was that the correct move that didn't work out? Don't overreact to what actually happened on the floor. I don't think that Maxey was some like crazy play. He just happened to, like, he had 7 stocks in 29 minutes. He was still 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. Like, you can't 10 boards. He hit his ceiling. There's nothing you can do there. But 7 stocks is unsustainable. Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it. Let's go full screen. So I'm going to have to hit the road and get changed quick. Another week of the process in the books. I can tell I'm starting to get the energy. It's probably all the aggressive caffeine that I've been having over the past hour. Love having you guys here for the process. I appreciate it. Please hit that like button if you can, if you haven't already. That's it for another week down. We'll be back. You guys know the drill. 6:30 a.m. We'll be back on Monday. Contenders videos and NFL top 5s are going to be out after the strategy show. I just can't get those out in the morning fast enough. I don't have enough time. Good luck to everybody. I hope that you guys can like get a little bit of my vibe right now. I'm in a good spot. I'm incredibly happy with the way the DFS is going right now. I'm putting myself in a good position, and I hope that I'm helping to put you guys in a good position too. I'm expecting big things this NBA season. We're going to keep grinding that out. That's what the point of Rise and Grind is. Win some W's. Win some W's. I think it's about that time for me to stop talking. An hour of me rambling by myself is probably it. Theodore Parsons, have I started my play more tweets yet? Yeah, I put my stuff out every single night. I have an updated tweet. So, yeah. Alrighty. Guys, enjoy your weekend. Have some fun. We've got a big UFC card on Saturday if you're interested. That's probably going to be, I'll do some Premier League in the morning because Liverpool plays tomorrow at 10, which means I can actually get some money in on Liverpool. So that should be fun. Either way, I love you guys. Hit that like button on your way out the door. Good luck. Win some money tonight. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday.